Hello, 7th grade. This is Miss Wicker creating a quick video for you to help you be successful on our first Math Focus Day. Remember, the purpose of these groups is to build test stamina, to ask you to work for maybe a little bit longer than what you're used to begin reviewing concepts, to prepare you to show growth on the EOG that's coming up. So what do we need from you? We need your effort. We need your heads up and pencils moving, giving this time your best because it will pay off. Raising your hand for help or for a check-in, and especially if you are really stuck on a question, we're here to help you. We're going to start off together by doing questions 1 and 2, and then giving you some time to work, and then doing a quick check-in for another question a little further in your packet. So look at question 1 for me. For question number 1, it says which expression is equivalent to, and we have this as calculator inactive. So we do have to make sure that we are not using a calculator and using our integer skills. First thing, I want you to notice that this part of the expression, remember we have an invisible 1 in front of here, which means that if we were to use our distributive property, it wouldn't change the value of that part of the expression. But little different for this part. Remember, we've still got a 1 here, but this time we've got a negative 1. So let's kind of make this expression a little bit more cleaned up. So 1 times negative 4.8, of course, is negative 4.8y. Same thing with 1 times positive 20.1. Okay, but be careful here. If we're going to multiply by a negative 1, that is going to change our sign. So negative 1 times 12.7y is negative 12.7y. And negative 1 times positive 9.3 is negative 9.3. Okay, now we're ready to do our CLT, combine like terms. All right, so we got some like terms here. I see negative 4.8y and negative 12.7y. So for those two, we're going to be going back further into the negatives, adding backwards, in other words. So we're going to add those two together, and those will be for team negative. So going back further into the negative side. So again, without a calculator, we got to be willing to do some scratch work over here. So that will be 7 and 1. So we've got negative 17.5y. Okay, and now my other two like terms here. I've got a positive 20.1 and a negative 9.3. So those are different teams. So I'll do subtraction for that one since it's different teams. Okay, got to do a little borrowing here. So going all the way across. Okay, so I got 10.8. 10.8. All right, so that one matches perfectly with A. Okay, pause the video here if you need to, teachers, and I'm going to go ahead and do number 2. Okay, number 2. A point on a straight line has an x-coordinate of 3 and a y-coordinate of 6. Is the relationship between x and y proportional? Well, this one's a little bit of an odd question in a way, but what we know about this particular relationship is just that we have 1 point, 3 and 6. So basically we know that our coordinates are always x comma y, or in this case, this one is 3 comma 6. Okay, the ones that we have been graphing or graphed this year so far, we know that they would have to be proportional, meaning they go through 0, 0, and they make a straight line. Okay, so meaning that they grow at the same rate, same unit rate, starting with that 0, 0. So 3 comma 6 could potentially be on this line, but we also don't know quite enough information to know if that's true or not. So we know that the line could maybe start here and go through 3 comma 6. So it's hard to determine if this is proportional based on just this information. So if you take a look at the choices here, we've got some different things that could confuse you a little bit. We, again, don't know if it could be proportional, so we have to cross out A and B. But C and D both say it cannot be determined. So let's see what they're reasoning. C says it cannot be determined. At least one other point on the line is needed to determine if X is proportional to Y. D says it cannot be determined. At least 2 other points on the line are needed to determine if X is proportional to Y. Well, we really don't need 2 other points. Remember, as I mentioned a second ago, we really only need to know if it starts at 0, 0 and then goes through 3 comma 6. So the best answer on this one would be C, because we just don't know quite enough to know if it's proportional and goes through that 0, 0 mark. Okay, pause the video here. Going to work for about 20 minutes, and then we're going to check in with each other, see how it's going, and look at question number 8. All right, look at question number 8. This is something that we haven't quite gotten to yet, but this vocabulary term may be something that you already know a little bit about. It says, which value could represent the probability of an unlikely event? Basically, the chances of something happening. So we're going to be talking about this in the next couple of days, how probability is on a scale of 0 to 1. Or in other words, a 0% chance or 100% chance. So you know that if you heard on the news that there was a 100% chance of rain, you know that it is definitely going to happen. It's certain to happen. Whereas if it's 0% chance of rain, that means that it is impossible. So whenever we're trying to figure out if something is going to happen, we use a scale of 0 to 1 or 0 to 100%. So in between here are other benchmarks, like if we put in the middle, like a 50-50 chance, 50%. And there's other benchmarkers we could put. We normally put like our quarters, right? Like 25% chance and 75% chance. So when we look at these values here, we're trying to figure out which one represents unlikely or could happen, but probably not. So we've got 15% chance, 9 over 2. Okay, that's improper fraction. 9 over 2, remember, would be the same as 4 and 1/2. So 4.5 is equivalent to that. 0.99 would be like a 99% chance, and then -3. So these two, B and D, are not on our scale. They're not on the scale from 0 to 1. These two, A and C, are on our scale, but only one of them is unlikely. Okay, can you think about which one might be? All right, if you were thinking A, you're on the right track. 15% chance, about right here, right? Probably not going to happen, but there's still a chance. Whereas this is the same as a 99% chance, right? So think about going 2 hops over. So that would be almost certain to happen. So A is our right answer. Now we're going to do more with probability in the next couple of weeks, but this is just a little intro to help you. All right, keep working and we'll check in with each other again to see how things are going at the end of our session and check some more answers.